Hello, welcome to this short introductory video to the book of Numbers. Numbers is the fourth book in the Old Testament. It's part of the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of Moses, and it's 36 chapters long and extremely detailed. And once you start reading it, you'll see immediately that it contains a whole number of really quite complicated things. There are some very laborious descriptions, very detailed descriptions, lots of things about, for example, skin diseases and the institution of the priests. And you're left thinking, what on earth is going on here? What's happening? I think there are various ways into understanding this. So I want to describe these right now. First of all, there's a geographical progression. The story starts at Mount Sinai, where the people of Israel have just received the Ten Commandments. They have also been instructed in the whole business of creating the tabernacle and building it, and they're learning how to worship on a regular, systematic basis. And the journey progresses from there to the edge of the promised land, where they send in some spies. The spies come back and say, well, this is a great place, but we're going to get beaten up if we go in there. And there's a revolt, and there's a time of absolute crisis for the whole people of God and the initiative. They go back into the desert, and the older generation lose their chance to enter the promised land. The story, however, finishes at the end of Numbers with the community, the younger generation, back ready to go into the promised land. So the first thing is the geographical development. Second thing is all about obedience. It's all about learning how to relate to this extraordinary God who's brought them out of Egypt, who's given them the law, who's encountered them at Sinai, and they're learning what it means to be obedient. And it's an extraordinary journey, and it seems to be centered first on Moses and Aaron, and then the priests, and then in rather like in concentric circles. It's with the Levites, and then all the tribes around the tabernacle, and then there's the people who are deemed to be temporarily unclean, who are outside that, and then there's the desert, and then there's the foreign nations. So you've got there's a sort of dynamic of blessing which works from the center out, but also there's uncleanness which works from the outside in, and there are ways of living, and it's all detailed. And the people of Israel are on a journey learning how to obey God and what holiness is, and how the whole thing works. And then there's another third journey, which is a journey through time, and that is that the older generation, despite all the blessings that they had seen, their encounters with God, the miracles, the going through the Red Sea, the whole dynamic of experiencing God, they still refuse to go in. They won't believe that God is good, but the younger generation do. And throughout the book of Numbers, at all the points where the older generation fail, the younger generation succeeds. And these last chapters towards the end just describe them getting everything right. And so as you read this book, I would say 3 things. First of all, don't get bogged down in the detail. Focus on the narrative, on the key events that are happening throughout, and look at how the older generation failed, but the new generation succeed in God's purposes. It's a tough book, it's a fascinating book, an intriguing one, but it's really worth getting into.